Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Michelle Graff, and I'm the editor-in-chief of National Jeweler. I'm pleased to welcome you to the latest episode of My Next Question, National Jeweler and Jewelers America's co-branded webinar series. Today, Amanda Gizzi and I are co-hosting a session on how to get ready for the Las Vegas jewelry shows, joined by Natalie Rodrigues, Nikia Levesque, and Jenny O. Kaleri. Before we get the webinar started, I just want to let attendees know that if they have a question, they can type into the Zoom Q&A box at the bottom of their screens. I'll be back on at the end of the discussion to answer any questions. Also, today's session is being recorded and will be available on the National Jeweler website this coming Friday, May 17th. Now, I'll hand it over to Amanda to get the discussion started, and I'll be back on at the end to field any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you, Natalie, Nikia, and Jenny for being on our panel today. We're so excited to have the three of you with us. What a dream team we've put together here today as we talk about preparing for the trade shows. I think anybody in the jewelry industry knows that this is crunch time, whether you're on either side of the trade show aisle, so to speak, whether you're exhibiting or you're preparing to go shop the shows, or in Michelle and I's case, if you're going to be visiting all of the press appointments to see sort of what's happening, what all the latest trends are, what the newest, best, and brightest things are. So our discussion really today is how to maximize that opportunity. So we're excited to have you all. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we get started, I would love for each of you to introduce yourselves and give our audience a little bit of insight into your experience with jewelry shows. How long you've been doing this? What shows do you typically do? And then we'll kick off with an icebreaker after that. So I'm just going to go starting from the top of my screen with Natalie.
Hi, guys. I'm Natalie Rodrigues. I'm the Director of Marketing for Prive. In my current role, I've been doing jewelry shows for 12 years. Prior to that, I was doing them for another brand for 5 years. And prior to that, I was doing it for other industries. So I've been doing the trade show circuit for about 30 years, give or take.
Wow.
Awesome. Nikia?
Yeah, so I'm Nikia Levesque, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Days Jewelers out of Maine and New Hampshire. In my current role, I started with Days over 10 years ago now, so I've held many different positions. But with the marketing department, this will be my 4th time attending JCK. So not as tenured as Natalie, but every time it still feels like you've been going for 30 years.
It feels like we're there for 30 years. When
Yeah.
It's dog years.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Jenny?
Hi, everybody. So good to see you. I'm Jenny O, owner of Huntington Jewelers here in fabulous Las Vegas. And I started going about 23 years ago. I started in the chain world, so I was just getting my feet wet. But once I got onto the strip and was like, what is happening here in this world? Forget about it. It was game over. JCK, Centurion, I mean, any industry event, conclave, any event that I could get to, I was going to, and it's been consistent up until here we are, another Vegas, as I'm looking at all my calendars in front of me. But I'm getting ready to go on a Disney cruise in 2 days, so I'm almost checking out.
Oh, stop it.
Wow.
I have anxiety for you to have to do a vacation
packing.
or trade shows.
I know, I'm like trying to
planning.
wrap up all the show prep like this next couple of days, because when I get back, boom, I go right into it.
All right, well, I can't wait to hear all about that show prep. But one quick little icebreaker that I want to do today is to talk about one thing. If you do happen to have one thing with you, it's a little show and tell. If you don't have that one thing with you, let's talk about one thing. What is one thing that you have to have in Las Vegas to survive the shows? And Michelle, I know that you are prepared and have something with you. What is your one thing?
I was so excited for the show and tell portion of this webinar. So this is my one thing, and this is not the exact object I'm bringing. It's just an example of the object. I always bring a book to Las Vegas because I find it very relaxing. I may be the only person in my room at night in Las Vegas reading. This is a really good book, by the way, just FYI. I just finished it. But I just find it really relaxing to have something, like a little bit of something to escape. And I think it's nice at night to like, just, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes, to get in bed with a book and just relax for a little bit, like put the phone away, put the screens away, and just relax with a book. So I always just take something to read. And one year I forgot a book, and Jenny, I don't know if you could be more helpful with this, but didn't seem like there were a lot of bookstores in Las Vegas, so I wasn't sure where to get a book.
The
I guess I
library's
forgot
always
one at
great.
the airport, but one was not like readily available around me where I was staying. So anyway, that's my show and tell item.
I do think that you're the only one who
Yeah.
has the book. So
Fine
that's a
with
good
me.
one, though. That's a great one, Michelle. And I wouldn't expect anything less from you. So that's amazing. Natalie, do you have an item that you can't live without?
Yes. So I have extreme dry eyes. You know, you get to Vegas, it's smoky, it's dry, they're pumping that air. So this is what I cannot live without, is a nighttime eye ointment
Oh,
like that. Put it in at night and you wake up and you feel
Wow.
your eyes are perfect. You feel refreshed and you don't feel all red and dried out when you've got to be up talking to everybody. So I cannot live without that stuff.
now it's not drops, it's an ointment. You have to like put
An
it in.
ointment.
Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of like Vaseline for your eyes, I guess is the best way to describe it. So if you're a little queasy about putting things in your eyes, it might not work, but for me, I can't deal without it.
One. Nikia, do you have one thing that you can't live without?
I do, and it's so on brand for me. It's a lip gloss, but it's also moisturizing. So I not only use it every day, but especially in Vegas, just everything's so dry, especially coming from the Northeast. It's a big shock to our system. That and water, lots.
That is exactly what I was saying. Like,
I love
here.
it.
I live here, so I literally like have these everywhere. They're in the side of my car, they're at my desk, they're in my purse, they're in my kids' bags, they're just everywhere. And yes, water. Bring a Stanley or bring something that you can refill, because first of all, who wants to pay $10 for $1 a bottle of water? I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to have lots of water. It's crazy.
Yeah. All good ones. My item is this one.
Mm.
Is that a bottle of Advil?
It's a bottle of Advil. 2 before bed, just for one thing and one thing only. It's for my feet. The swelling of your feet, the tiredness of my feet. I find that it helps me sleep just a little bit better. And I wake up and my feet aren't quite so sore. So a little bit of a anti-inflammatory, so to speak, to get the swelling in your feet back down. So
That's smart. I never thought of it from that perspective.
yeah. Okay, so let's dive into some jewelry. Let's talk about how do you best prep for trade shows. So I'm going to start off actually with Nikia and Jenny for the retailers on this panel. How much of your buying is predetermined, and what are you going to buy? How much opportunity is there to visit with new collections? Because I think that's something that a lot of people have questions about for brands specifically is, if I can't get that coveted appointment, do you leave time in your schedules to be able to do that?
Do you want to go first, Nikia?
Sure. So as in the marketing department, I unfortunately can't buy things. They don't give me that access to that. I probably wouldn't have a job. I'd go through my budget on the first day. But no, our buying team, they have a very set strategic plan when they go to Vegas. We use Vegas as, really the way that we prep for Q4 and plan for our holiday season, determine what we're going to put into our holiday catalogs and what are we going to do for holiday catalogs. They have a predetermined budget, like I said, for the show. And then as far as, meeting with vendors, we use a lot of that time to meet with existing vendors. And then as far as meeting with new vendors, if there's, a trend, that they're interested in, looking to see what type of vendors are at the show that can accommodate that in setting appointments for them. But I mean, looking at our buyers' schedules, I don't know how they do it. They're there for almost 10 days and every single day is just completely booked.
Wow.
So, and then, from the marketing side of things, when I get there, already 4 days in, we're meeting with vendors to talk about, marketing plans for specific brands that we're already working with. So.
I love that. I love that you have the ability to be there and have those
Mhm.
real-time discussions about, marketing the products that you're buying instead of waiting until later and waiting until the product's in the store to have those conversations. I think that's really interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really nice to talk about, new projects too that we want to embark on together. And exactly just be aware of new product launches that are coming out. That way we can all be in alignment on our marketing and merchandising plan when it comes time to place those in our stores.
Love that.
So I've kind of gone about it like I'd say a different way from when I first was in the business to like now. I used to book myself like every hour on the hour. It was insane. And as years have gone by, like obviously I'm very social and we haven't seen each other in a while. So Amanda, we see each other. Natalie, we see each other, right? And I walk 10 feet and before I know it, like a half hour has gone by. And so as much as I'd like to be like every hour on the hour, it just doesn't happen anymore. And I'm not going to stress myself out over it. And so I really look at who my top 2% of vendors are, my beautiful supplier partners, love you. And I need to be there first because that's a large part of my revenue.
Right.
And then, as I'm looking at my whole open to buy plan here, I go into categories, strategic, and I'm seeing like of that partner, what category can I fill? And in the whole marketing realm, yes, new products, the trade, what's hot, what's not, but I'm really looking at strengthening my relationships with my existing, building potential new ones, looking at where I'm missing a hole, and I'm really going to check out, like, is that something that would work for the store later? And I try to leave more time as I'm getting older, if you will. Like I try to leave more time to just kind of go with the flow because honestly, like to go from Gator back to Palazzo, like it is a whole thing to go to the NDC events, to go to all these cocktail parties. You want to talk about what we need? We need like, the little shoes with wheels on them to just roll us around as a retail, right? I mean, the kids
Yeah.
roller skate
Wheelies,
shoes, that's what we
wheelies.
need. It's a lot. It is. I was just talking to another designer friend of mine about that this morning, trying to see when I could fit it in because it's exhausting. It's exhausting. So, just prioritizing who is making you the most money first. And those are the people you got to meet with, period. Right. And then it's all the fun stuff afterwards.
I
for
love
me.
that. That's a great tip. As far as brands reaching out to you, so obviously I'm sure that they're constantly reaching out at this time of year. Is there anything that the brands could do to make your job a little bit easier or to increase their success rate in booking one of those coveted appointments or encouraging you to stop by and see the collection? Whether it's from the marketing perspective or from buying, obviously just getting that exposure, getting eyes on the collection is imperative at these shows. So is there anything that brands could do better, or an example of something that someone's done really well that you're like, wow, that made me stop by and see them, then I probably wouldn't have done it without that one thing?
Yeah, certainly. So from the buying side of things, like you said, there's so many inquiries rolling in and it's kind of hard to, everything kind of can just look the same. So to kind of stand out, something that's worked with our buying team is, a vendor sending a picture proposal with some bestsellers that they may have, making sure that they have, like a strong overview, or you can call it an elevator pitch of who they are. And then something, with a link to go to their website and an Instagram profile. Talking to our buying team, we still feel like sometimes people in the industry can be a little bit behind the times. So if somebody doesn't have an Instagram profile, definitely that's, even as a brand, not just as a retailer, it's very important to have a presence there as well. So.
That's great.
For me, yeah, I get calls all day long. all day long, every day. And, you know, we're in sales, right? Like they're trying to sell me, I'm trying to sell clients, and persistence is key for me. If you want to send me something to try to get in the door, like as creative as you can be, I'll never forget, I was a supplier one time and one of my colleagues, she sent a shoe, one of her shoes to, to a retailer in a box, right? And saying, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door.
It's
Okay.
amazing.
And it is amazing because I don't need chocolates. I don't need an unnecessary water bottle. I don't need to see my money going into your giant marketing campaign. I'm sorry, because that's less margin for all of us. And so I want to know what it is that you're going to do for me, how we are going to be a partner together, and why I should choose you out of all these other thousands of people that are calling me. Right. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my clients, right? Like, why do we want to work together? What makes us so unique? And when you are calling me and calling me and calling me and calling me to where I get sick of you, that's when you're going to get the opportunity, right? Because you're also checking out, and I like what you were saying, Nikia, like the social media aspect of things, like you are getting to know who I am before you even walk through the door, right? And so when you can say, I know you specialize in XYZ, it's like, if you know that we're a good fit, you have to tell me why. Because otherwise you're just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So,
And when
yeah.
you see the sheer volume of exhibitors between all of these shows, to know, I mean, if only 4% of those people reached out to you, that's a lot of people, and walking the shows, people do tend to look alike. So that very critical element of what makes you different is key. Absolutely key.
It's just like in the retail space, right? Like what makes me and you different, like in our area, right? I'm unique and unusual, one of a kind. I'm natural, right? So like when people come in here, like this is who I am. If we're not a good fit, it's fine. Move along,
right?
But really, like I want the people who are like me, right? I want to do business with people who understand like my core values.
Yeah, I love that.
Did your coworker get her shoe back, or how did that?
No, she didn't. But
So she just
man,
had
she got her foot in the door and she landed a really nice account. And this was a big retailer, and like you can't just calling only get you so far, right?
Yeah. I remember many years ago, like probably 20 years ago, a small brand sending an earring. Michelle, do you remember this?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up, Amanda. Somebody, I remember, it was a small brand, and they sent everybody one earring, and they said to get the other earring, come and see us. And I remember thinking how clever it was. That being said, I don't remember if I went or not.
I don't know that
think I
one
had the
earrings
earrings
was
when we danced
enticing
it
enough.
off.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point too. It's like, if you're going to put the money into that, make sure that it's something that people actually want, like.
I don't think there was anything wrong with the earring, and I'm not saying I went or didn't go, but I don't remember specifically.
I don't either.
I did, but I thought it was very clever at the time. Kind of like the shoe thing.
Yeah, what's going to make us stand out? Like I try to figure that out too all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Switching gears a little bit, and then we're going to come back to you ladies. I want to talk to Natalie for a second. How do you book appointments? What's your prep? What, besides getting the merchandise ready, what's your prep like right now at OMI?
Just tons of marketing, like the girls said, at retail level, they're getting calls and emails. So I try not to bombard people, but I have created a special landing page. It's a special link to our website that only the retailers can access. I put that on everything so that they can click when they want to, if they happen to see it in our email signatures, or I send it out in a newsletter, or I personally invite them, or we email them personally. They can just click on that, fill out the day and time that they want, and that feeds right into our CRM system. So then I'm able to organize everything that way, get everybody into the calendars, and set reminders. I set reminders the morning of, just, hey, here's how you get to our booth. We're looking forward to seeing you, and here's my number if you need to find us. So
what would you say is your percentage of like booked appointments versus pop buys?
Well, for we're in luxury, so the first two luxury exclusive days, those are strictly appointment days and they're pretty book solid. And then once JCK opens, then it becomes a little more relaxed with how it would normally be at a show with just people swinging by. We still do have appointments during that time, but that's more where my marketing that I've done in the magazines, leading up to the show, where I'm showing those same visuals in the booth so that people are like, oh, hey, that's Omi Prive. I saw that piece, or I really wanted to look at that in person. So it's like making that connection.
And I would think with your company in particular, and the case is probably the same for when you're buying a draw for one of a kinds, those appointments, that's why those first days are so critical at these shows.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we want to show all the new things that we've purchased over the last year and in Tucson, and what we've created around those fine gemstones. And it's a lot of fun. It's the best time to be face to face and just see reactions, and it's just wonderful.
And you
Yeah.
always do something very creative, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Natalie, because I don't know what you're doing this year, but you always do something very creative with your booth.
Yes, I am.
Which I think is a great lesson. People check out the Omi booth if you want to know how to draw people to a booth, because it's always good.
Yeah, I am working on something. As you guys probably know, JCK is doing a theme of love this year. So I've got some special things going on with
Mhm.
that. Keep hearts and minds. So
I love it. I can't wait to see. As far as the trends go, Natalie, what does your team look for in this prep period of your merchandising? What are you talking about in your marketing? Do you go in with an idea of these are the stones we want to move, or this is what we're seeing in the market and this is what the demand for these is there for the retailers, or is it the other way around where you're pushing out the ones that you see as the upcoming trend?
for us, it's kind of the other way around, because colored gemstones are timeless, and it really depends on what we're finding, what rarity we can find for the year. We usually decide at the beginning of the year, hey, we've got some great Brazilian Paraiba tourmalines, or we've got some beautiful alexandrite. And so then that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to get the best videos, the best photos, and push those out in front of everybody so that they can get excited about seeing those in person.
For sure.
Yay.
Michelle, did you have any questions for Natalie right now?
No, I mean, I would ask more questions about her booth setup, but I think she's keeping that under wraps. So I'll just wait and see it.
Well, I do have a special area for editors and influencers that I'm working on, because one thing that we've run into is when you're at the booth, and marketing's a little bit separate from sales, even though we work hand in hand, but the sales is the most important, working with the retailers, making sure that the clients are getting what they need and what they're looking for. And I don't want to be in the way when I might at the same time be working with influencers or editors. So I'm making an editor's corner this year. So I hope everyone will stop by and see it and get excited for that. So thank you guys.
I love that. That's actually, I do feel that way when I'm at a booth, even if I'm visiting, and I'm sure, Michelle, you're the same way, and you see a retailer come by, you're like, oh, it's okay, go talk to them, go talk to them, because I know that sales come
Absolutely, you
first.
always move this aside. I mean, for an editor, there'll always be an option for us to see that later, see it at a press preview, see it somewhere else. I step out of the way if somebody comes by.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like I'm just there having fun, right?
Yeah,
I'm not going to buy anything.
Well,
I mean, not in the quantities people are looking to sell them.
Right.
But to me, those relationships in marketing are very important, because you guys are helping to get the word out and market the products. So you're also special, and I want you to have your area, and sales can have their area, and then we're all happy and seeing the beautiful new pieces.
Well, and
thank
we
you, Natalie.
appreciate you editors and influencers too, right? So it's like we can,
100%.
we can talk about the amazing cat's eye Alexandrite that you're probably going to have at the booth, hopefully, right? And
And
why the retailer is so excited about it. And then it's a story for you guys, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So talking about the social angle a little bit, is that as we had the influencer discussion, even from the retailers, and what are you doing from the show? How do you convey the excitement surrounding the show and what you're buying to the consumer? Do you wait on that, or do you do it real time?
So the last couple of years, we started doing it real time. So posting on our stories and just posting things that we would never put in our showcases,
Mhm.
but just sharing that experience with our customers, and the response we got from that um, is always amazing. Last year, we did a full recap on Facebook with just pictures from our buying team, from our marketing team to our finance person that went, but just it gave everybody a really different perspective on what we're doing when we go to Vegas. I think a lot of people think it's just like a big party, like it's like
It is.
I
vacation.
know.
And it's really not. Like, it's amazing. And so yeah, I think just sharing that experience, because it's like our Super Bowl. It's amazing. So getting to just share that with our customers gets them really excited, and then just getting them excited of what new products to come, primarily for Q4 too. So yeah.
Have you ever sold a piece or had interest in a piece of something that you weren't going to carry in the store because of that post?
No.
Okay, that's interesting. So you know your market.
Yeah.
I actually promote to my clients, like, you know, this month that I'm going down to the strip, because obviously I'm here, and I have sold, I sell something every year because, you know, if I don't want to spend $500 to ship something in, I'm like, I'm going there. I'll just bring these things back for you, you
Right.
know? So I use this as a benefit to them. Like, you can see many more options than you ever could had, you know, we've been doing this like another time of the year. So it's a big advantage being here local, for sure.
Yeah,
And
well, I'm
your
sure.
clients obviously know about it because they live there. And are
Right. And
obviously
of
like,
course,
it's like,
you know, I do stories and stuff too, but it's different when you have the opportunity. That person walks in and you're like, listen, I have this coming up in 3 weeks. So, you know, then I'm real time texting them, videoing them, and then I'm bringing stuff back and I'm making things happen. That's it.
Yeah,
Is there some-
I feel frequently that a retailer will stop by, they'll see something and they know they have the client for that. Like,
Yeah.
they will know immediately when they see that, you know, Sarah so-and-so will love this, and
Yeah.
I have to send it to her right now, and they'll take a video. And Jenny O is great about it. She gets right on the job
Well,
right while she's there. So
this is just funny. I just happen to have this. I pulled this binder out for who knows how long I've had it, but look at what it says right here. You see that?
Anniversaries.
No, it says the one you did not show is the one who would have bought. And so, like, as Nikia, you're getting so excited about showing all these things that you just said you would never carry, you would never
Right.
sell. Like, you know, you're opening up a whole new level of clientele, right? Like, you can do it. We can do it.
Yeah. And we also, in addition to obviously like our buying team going to the show and myself and other people in our company, we often bring a handful of store associates as well. So it's awesome for, you know, our sales staff to be in a meeting with a buyer, looking at, you know, new merchandise or this, and just being like, I have a client, like you said, for this, or
Yes.
this would do really well in the store, and here's why. So it just adds another perspective to it as well.
and what a morale booster too for the staff that
Yeah.
works in the stores. Like, they get, like, a couple of them get to go a free trip to Las Vegas
Yeah.
and they get a peek behind the curtain. I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously do rotate in new
Yes.
people every year.
Yep.
So someone else gets to go.
Every
Really
year, you
smart.
know, Conclave is another show that we bring people to as well. So yeah, it rotates every year, and it keeps people really excited. And yeah, it's just all about bringing that fresh perspective too.
How many employees travel?
This year we have, I think, 14.
Wow, it's amazing.
Wow, a lot.
Yeah.
Jenny, do you have anybody else that comes to the show with you?
On Sunday, yeah, I invite actually everybody in the store to come because we're closed. And so
Right.
it's here. So I get everybody a badge and I'm like, come, you know what I mean? Like, I want you all to experience, right, Luis?
Yes.
My amazing jeweler. Yeah, but certain events I'll take them to, but it's like, I believe that there's passion and enthusiasm that comes like with this business, right? And if you are in it, like dive in, right? Head first and get into it and immerse yourself in it. And so I give the opportunities, but I'm not forcing anybody to go, right?
Right. Absolutely. What is the one thing that if you would say you're most excited to shop for this year? A style? Is it a color? Is it a metal? What if you had one thing that you're like, I can't wait to see more of this year, what would that be for all of you?
I'm natural, no heat goods. Like I am, big, splashy color, rare, one of a kind, natural fancy color diamonds. I want the unique and unusual that, someday could buy my children a house. I don't care if it ever sells. That's what I'm all about.
Love that.
Yellow gold's been very, very popular for us. And it seems like such a classic, but again, being
Yeah.
up here in the Northeast, classic jewelry and styles are something that performs really well for us. But yeah, yellow gold, just seeing what new fun styles we can get that are doing well in yellow gold.
And I love that with metal prices the way that they are, that's still the go-to. I feel like many, many, many years ago, we would have talked about high gold prices, and the next thing that would have come out of our mouth would have been like, well, what are the top styles for silver? And I feel like that's changed. And the way that we talk about jewelry, the way that we show jewelry today, it's like that value goes hand in hand with what the consumer expects. So they put on gold, they know what it's worth, and that inherent value is there with the metal, which is interesting. And I don't think that was always the case with inflation of prices for metals. So I think that's really cool to hear that yellow gold is still what you're looking for and what you're excited to see.
Exactly.
Michelle, what are you excited for?
So I'm excited to actually see kind of the flip side of what was just being said. I'm curious to see how much platinum we might see at the show. And I don't think people are abandoning gold because of high prices, but I wonder if we're going to start teetering back just to white metals as a fashion choice. Because I feel like when I started here in 2007, yes, there was the recession, so people were buying a lot of silver, but it was also, I felt like white metals were kind of in. And you didn't see as much yellow gold. And then at some point in the, many years I've been at National Jeweler, it's kind of tipped back into where yellow gold is really, really in fashion and people wear a ton of it. And I wonder if maybe there's going to be at some point kind of just a seesaw back to interest in white metals, which for me at this point with this price point would be platinum. And I think what Platinum Guild has done with the platinum board collection is really cool. It's really well priced and it's beautiful and it's really well made jewelry. And I think it's really interesting. The other
Education and training, sorry, Michelle, the education and training that they've done to the other designers who have never worked with platinum.
Yeah,
teach
like
them how to use
the
metal.
platinum pieces they've been making for couture the last couple of years, gorgeous.
Yeah.
And they did that again this year. Speaking of coutures, I'm also excited to see the luminaries. I wrote about them a couple weeks ago. This is a group of, I think there's 6 or 7 designers. I think 6. There's 7 total in the program, 6 at the show. They were mentees in the Couture's Diversity Action Council's mentorship program, and they're exhibiting at the show. And I wrote about them and I wrote all their backstories, and I'm just really anxious to see their work. I'm excited about that. I always love it coming to see Natalie, all the colored Omi. Color everywhere is fun. Color Omi is fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited about everything. That's not a very good answer. Sorry, it's not very specific. But
No, it's a great answer. It's a great answer. As far as press appointments go, Michelle, for people who are on the call on this webinar who are looking to snag a coveted press appointment, what do you and your editors do for booking appointments or not booking appointments? Is there anything that anybody could do to increase their chances of getting someone to stop by?
so I will say that we tend to start planning early because I think we got our first Vegas email maybe in February this year.
Right.
So we start planning early. So we're getting emails like this week or whatnot. And it's like, honestly, our schedules are pretty made at this point, like they're pretty tight. And I'm kind of like Jenny, I try to leave a little room for just wondering. I feel like almost sometimes I'm more productive when I don't have appointments. Because I feel like sometimes when you get appointments, you get very focused and on point, and you don't have a lot of time for just exploration and discovery, which is sometimes when you find the most amazing things. One thing, and this, I can only speak for my staff, there are 4 of us, and that sounds like a lot of people, but it's not. There are hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of vendors to see between all the shows. The antique show, which we love, and it's kind of like a bonus if I find time to get that. Couture, JCK, obviously. So we do not double up. So if you have an appointment, just FYI, with one of the editors, I'm not coming to see you as well. And we don't do that because we don't want to see you or I'm not interested, but we just divide and conquer. Like, we don't have the staff for people to be going and seeing the same people. So that's one thing we definitely do. Email us, and we go through and we see the people we want to see first, which includes the bigger the companies that we know a lot of retailers carry and will be interested in seeing what's new from them. And also just people we have relationships with, like everyone else, people we have relationships with, we know they're good designers, we're curious to see what's new. Like I said, we try to build in time just to wonder and discover new things. I have a new editor this year. Her name is Natalie, and it'll be her first time at the shows. So I'm going to be shouting her at Couture on Thursday. We have a full day of appointments, and she's making some of her own appointments. And then I've told her also make sure she schedules in wandering time so she can maybe meet new people like I don't even know.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's kind of our strategy. We started probably almost a month ago, like sat down and said, I'm gonna see this person, you're gonna see this person, and just dividing it up so we're not overlapping.
That's terrific. Thanks, Michelle. What's your top tip? Not your number one thing to do. If you could, Natalie, if you could tell other brands your number one top tip thing to do for success at this upcoming show, not at future shows, but at this upcoming show, what would that be?
So the top tip I could think about is just being prepared with your inventory, being prepared to tell the story of your brand, that elevator pitch that you want to get the point across within 30 seconds. And you just want to remember to keep your best foot forward. I mean, like you guys mentioned, it's 10 days, we're all super tired, but this is your time to shine. So just remember that this is your time to sit face to face with customers that you normally can't see. And so not just making the booth beautiful and relaxing, but you want to make people excited and make sure that they're seeing everything that you have.
Jenny, what would your top tip be for retailers?
As I'm looking at my beautiful black and white spreadsheet here that I do not love. I don't like black and white, I like color.
I was expecting a bright binder again.
Honestly, like this really helps me though, because like I'm about to go into the showroom, I'm really visual, and it breaks it down by category and cost. And so when I'm meeting with XYZ supplier, I have my list and I'm like, okay, because I'm distracted. I get distracted easily, shiny objects, woo, squirrel. So I want to know what you have to show me in your top 3 to 5 best sellers in this category. Like, show me that first and let's get the business done that I need to do. And then we can play, right? Otherwise, I'm going to be there looking at everything and I'm going to get nothing done.
Right.
Right. So if I could just like ask for that help from my suppliers, right? Like, hey, here's my list. Get yourself organized too. Like, know where your best sellers are in these categories and show me those first.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's it.
Nikia, how about you? What would your top tip be?
It's kind of like double-sided.
Yeah, that was great.
So definitely having a schedule. I'm someone that like just needs to have a plan, because I think especially walking into that for the first time can be very overwhelming. Like, where do I go? Like, there's so much to see. But with that, allowing yourself enough time to go and do that discovery. Make sure you schedule time for networking events, attending breakfast. I think that that's such a huge advantage of our industry. There's so many amazing people to connect with that can bring us new resources, and just building those connections within our industry are really important. So building time to do both, but also allowing yourself to just go and explore, look at things that you may never see again in your life, and just have fun and stay hydrated.
That's a good one.
Michelle?
I think I have two tips. Number one, I think we're going to talk about this later, but I've learned that you have to bring a lot of different shoes because my feet tend to hurt, not just based on what I'm wearing, but if I wear the same like kind of shoe every single day. So I need a very like sneaker, platform, like just something different, sandal, like low sandal, just something. So my foot, that's just the way my feet are. I just hurt if I wear the same thing every day. I need to switch it up a little bit. The other tip I have is just make a schedule, like make a decision for yourself about how you want to tackle the show and stick to it. I used to do this thing where I'd be like, I'm going to spend this day couture, this day JCK, and this day couture. And then someone would ask me for a JCK appointment on my couture day, and I'd like throw out my whole schedule to accommodate one appointment. I don't do that anymore. I say couture this day, JCK this day, half and half this day, and I'm out. And
Such a great tip.
like I can't, if I'm not going to be over at that show during that time, I'm sorry, we'll see you another time. But it just made myself crazy, and I refuse to run back and forth all day. It's too time consuming and it's not productive.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
Remember when it was the Mandalay Bay? Oh, that was
Those limo rides were no joke, because like all day long, back and forth. One of the tips that I would have too is note taking. So just take really good notes. I'm a visual learner too. So I catalog everything on my phone, every appointment. First thing I do is take a picture of their sign to make sure it's a marker in my phone. So because you think you're going to remember, you're looking back through your camera roll of what did I love? What did that look like? And so for me to be able to go through and see the trends sort of play out as you look through your camera roll to be, oh, I didn't remember seeing that many of ear climbers, but there really were a lot of them, like whatever that trend happens to be. Taking photos of those is key. And then a backup battery pack, since we're burning through power with our phones as we take pictures. That's the number one thing that kills my battery life on my phone is taking pictures. So those are definitely my top tips. We are going to allow for some time for Q&A, but before we do that, I want to play a quick lightning round with everyone on a couple of just sort of lighthearted, fun topics. Michelle sort of touched on this in her tip, which is heels, flats, or sneakers. Feel free to jump in, anybody.
Flats.
Low-heeled sandal during the day, or like fashionable sneakers, and then the heels at night for the events.
Like that. Natalie?
I'm flats now. Flats or sneakers.
And Michelle, your variety.
I like to mix it up, yes.
Yeah,
But I don't actually really wear heels ever, so I'm mixing up between like higher platform sandals, lower platform sandals, and sneakers.
Whatever it is, it's comfort. If my feet
Yeah, it's
hurt, my
comfortable.
face hurts. And when somebody's feet hurt, you just look, what's the matter with your face? Oh, your feet hurt.
It's just my feet, yeah.
Listen, I'm born and raised here. I see it all the time. When I was younger, going out, and I see it now, and I'm like, nope. And I see it at the show, and I'm just like, why do you do that? You don't look cute. Your shoe looks cute, but you don't look cute because your face hurts.
Yeah. Too funny. Yeah, definitely don't wear the same style 2 days in a row either. That's another great tip.
That is good advice. I've literally put on a sandal this morning, and I was like, I wore those yesterday. Like my foot needs a different shoe today, Michelle, for sure.
Because you end up, it rubs in the same place.
Yeah, it's good advice. Even though it's comfortable, but it's like, yeah, it's the same day after. Gotta change it up.
Probably not new shoes for the show either.
Yeah, no new shoes.
They have to be worn. I did that my first year, and yeah, I didn't listen to any advice naturally. Yeah, not good.
Break them in before you go. Yeah. Definitely. If you had to have one Las Vegas trade show hashtag, that's your hashtag for the Las Vegas trade shows, what would it be? Like hashtag here for the jewels, hashtag my besties get me through, hashtag it's a marathon, not a sprint. What would your hashtag be, Michelle?
I mean, I would just pick from your list here. I would do hashtag marathon, not a sprint, because I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. Like, I wouldn't, I mean, this is just my advice. Younger people probably aren't going to heed it, but I wouldn't go out the first night and stay out till 4 o'clock in the morning and then have to get up the next day at 9 a.m. and try to start your thing. Cause it's like you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, you know, maybe if you want to do something like that, maybe like wait till the end, but the days are really, really long. And yeah, I think you just need to try to pace yourself in all
Then there's
aspects of
YOLO.
everything.
YOLO. I mean, listen, know, you go hard and then you get nap after the
You
trip's
can
over.
nap after. You can
Yeah.
nap during.
Depends how your personality is.
Yeah, the FOMO and YOLO combination are not good when you're in Las Vegas, that's for sure.
I'm JBF
Yeah.
because you guys are my jewelry best friends. I mean, Amanda, Natalie, like we've known each other forever.
Okay.
Nikia, I've known of you. I'll be excited to meet you firsthand.
Yes.
And Michelle, you know, I don't think we've ever actually met in person, but you know your name for all the years. But I mean, my JBFs, like I get to see you once or twice or 3 times a year for a couple decades now, which is amazing.
Jenny, I'll recognize you by your comfortable face.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and your hat, Jenny, are you
Your
gonna be
hat,
wearing
yes.
hats? at the
I
show?
know, I'm a mess today. I'm getting ready for the cruise. Yes, that is my signature, is I have a lot of headpieces.
It's my favorite.
So
You
it's-
can spot Jenny from across the show with her
Uh-huh.
amazing headpieces.
Yeah,
You can
and
go
that's
to
the other
Jenny.
tip is like, you know what? Dress your best, whether you're in flats or not. Like you are around all these beautiful jewels, right? Like, you know, $1 million necklaces and rings, like get in a freaking gown if you have it. Like it's better to be dressed up and looking fantastic with a hat this big, you
I love
know?
it.
Yep.
Seriously, right? So I love it. I'm definitely supposed to be living in Vegas, but I think I was maybe born in the wrong era. I should have probably been born earlier in life, right? With all
I
my-
love, no, it's perfect now. You bring it all to us, so I love it. I'm here for it all.
Thank you.
Nikai, what would your hashtag be?
Eat snacks. Dinner's not until 10 p.m. I'm like a very like, okay, dinner, like I need my food at a regular basis.
Plus,
So
if you're an East Coaster, it's like eating in the middle of the night,
it
essentially.
really is. Yeah. And then I wake up hungry anyway. It's like, so yeah, I'm gonna pack some like goldfish in my bag.
But yeah, you have to find the booths that or the salons that have the best snacks.
Seriously.
Yes.
Maybe that's how
Lika
people
has
can
the
entice
best snacks.
retailers in.
Food's a
Lika
big
Behar,
incentive.
she's the best snacks ever. She's got her booth set up. Love you, Lika, if anybody's listening.
Yes, absolutely. She does have really good snacks and chocolates. Yeah. Natalie, what would your hashtag be?
So I'm gonna do the director of marketing answer, and our hashtag is
Omi.
love Omi Prive this year. And
Oh,
come to the
cute.
booth, you might get some good snacks that have a
Okay.
heart theme, and check out everything else. So that's I really like that JCK puts thought into the story of love behind it. Maybe some of you have seen they've posted love people that have fallen in love at JCK and other
Oh.
types of love that happen at the show. So it's all about the love this year. So I'm excited.
I know of a couple of people who have been married in Little White Chapel there in Las Vegas during trade shows. So
Really?
it happens for sure. Yep. That's terrific. All right. So then what's your favorite Las Vegas trade show memory? You're going to have a favorite memory, one favorite memory that stands out.
It's too hard.
There are a lot.
Which
We went to see
breakfast,
them.
lunch,
Oh, go
dinner,
ahead.
clubbing, break it down.
Any.
So I will tell of a time that I did not take my own advice. This was many years ago when
Oh,
I
I
was a
can't
much
wait.
younger woman. And I went out to a club with Hannah Connerton, who used to work for me. I don't know if she's listening to this, and a couple of friends of ours. And we were at a nightclub, and she grabs me at some point, and she's like, I'm her boss. Like, I should have been in control of this. She grabs me at some point, and she's like, Michelle, I could not see the sun come up. We need to get out of here. And it was like, it was so, I don't know why I was going out so late, but I looked like a disaster the next day. And I felt like one too. But you know, it was a lot of fun. And I don't remember what club it was. I mean, this was years ago at this point, but I just remember Hannah grabbing me, being like, I cannot see the sunrise. And I was like, right, I'm the boss. Like we should go back. We have to work tomorrow. And yeah, so that's my favorite Vegas memory.
Hannah was actually one of my favorite memories too. I hosted a fashion show for the Italian what was the Italian trade
Exhibition group?
Yes.
IEG?
They had a big fashion show. They asked me to host it, so I hosted it. Hair and makeup. I'm in a dress. I'm like done up, and we ended up at In-N-Out, as you always do when you're in Las Vegas and you're not from the West Coast. And we had In-N-Out, and Hannah was with actually, and we walking through the lobby, coming back in with a thing of fries from In-N-Out, and everybody being like, "Oh my gosh, I want In-N-Out!" But it's one of my favorite memories.
Is there an In-N-Out close by?
Taxi right away. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Ish.
No.
Thank you for that. I think I'm going to turn it over to you now, Michelle, to get to some questions before we run out of time. So if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. I saw a couple pop in.
Yeah, I saw a couple pop in as well. So we got a couple in beforehand. I saw one pop in the chat. So somebody wanted to ask, and I thought this is a question for our retailers. How are inflation, this is not trade show related, but I think it's going to be a topic of conversation, so I'm going to ask it. How are inflation and higher prices affecting your middle market clients in their jewelry buying, if at all? Sorry, I know that's a little off the topic of trade
That's
shows.
okay.
but-
I'll go. I think that birthdays, anniversaries, marriages still happen, right? And we still need to get something. So it's just, maybe it's not a $5,000 item, maybe it's a $2,000 item. So, you know, things are still being purchased, right? For those special occasions. And, you know, love doesn't know about the recession, right? Just kind of back in our little COVID days, love doesn't know about all this stuff that happens, right? So it's just a matter of that average retail sale maybe being affected a little bit. That's how I see it right now.
Yeah, same here.
And someone else wanted to know, this is a question that came in the chat that I thought was very interesting. How many of you invite good clients to come to Las Vegas to see treasures that you might not buy but want to show? I think that's interesting. And I don't know if people would do that anymore since you could just FaceTime somebody, but I think that's an interesting question.
I'm going to go on this one too first, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I actually thought about doing that with one of my really special designers, because it's more of like an experience, and I'll fly them out to Beverly Hills and do the whole thing. But it's very, it can be really touchy. I've never done it at an actual show, and I don't think I would bring them into the show, because, you know, this still is my client and how I make money. And if, you know, somebody slips or the tag is not marked correctly, then my margin is exposed, and they still are a client. And so honestly, like, if it was like a networking something or a sweet situation, I'm honestly thinking about doing that for a couple of my really big clients. But going into the show, I have clients that come in here and they're like, "Oh, so-and-so from New York, blah, 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 whatever, LA, whatever, any Caribbean, who knows?" They come here and they get me into the show. And that is not good for us at the end of the line here. Like, you're either a wholesaler or you're a retailer, right? And retailers should not be bringing our retail clients to our supplier's booth. That's my opinion, because I think it can ruin it.
A little bit too much of a peek behind the curtain.
Yes.
Bring them
Like
to
I said, if
Gemwords,
there's
Jenny.
an event or something, there's like some celebrity show, or it's cocktails and caviar, and, you know, there's items on display. Like, that's a
Right.
different story, you know?
Bring them to Gemwords, Jenny.
What?
Bring them to Gemwords. Bring them to New York for Gemwords.
There you go.
That's a fun
Yeah,
thing.
because that's an experience. I've never been to Gem Awards. And
Well,
you know
we're
what?
changing that.
I didn't get to say my favorite thing, which was like back in the Diva Awards days.
Yes.
And like, because I'm a Vegas native clubber here. So like I must have had like 5 or 6 stamps one year from like all the different things that we went to. A few friends and I love it.
That's
I
fun.
love being around everybody
Yeah.
that I don't get to see all the time.
Sorry,
I was just gonna
Nikia,
echo
I'm sorry, you were
something.
gonna say something
Yeah,
about
same
days
thing
and then
that
we're gonna.
Jenny said. I think first thought, like, what an amazing experience for a top client, and a great way to retain them and excite them. However, I think that those two worlds just should stay those two worlds in some, that is a lot of exposure at that level.
It's kind of like when you give a client a discount, they will expect it forever. And so like, I really frown upon discounting. If I'm like closing something out, okay. But if that client gets to go there and pick something out at, employee pricing, basically, right? Forget about it. You're never making a dime off them again.
Point.
So Amanda, I'm not sure how are we on time? One more question, two
One
more
more time for
questions?
one more question. Yeah.
One more question. Okay. Somebody just asked, and I'm just gonna reference this. Somebody just asked in the chat about why they cut the third day of luxury. I don't know that anybody here, and sir, I'm sorry, I don't know that anybody here is qualified to answer that. We're not with the shows. I think they made the invitation only days, and I guess there used to be 3 and now there's 2. I don't have an answer to that. I'm sorry. I don't know why they decided to do it that way, but thank you for attending and asking. Somebody wants to know, what can we do to make people stop at our booth? And Natalie, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about, I know you want to talk about what's going on this year yet, but can you talk a little bit about one of your booths of the past that was a lot of fun and that you thought you really got a good reaction from? And everyone, I'm not kidding, Omi has a cool booth every year. They're in luxury, go and see it if you want good booth ideas as an exhibitor.
Thanks, guys. So yes, and it actually was one of my favorite memories. At Luxury, we had this long merchandising window that's kind of right at eye level that we would want to tell the story of the brand. And this particular year, we were telling the story of the loose gemstone from mining and all the hands that it goes through, for all the way from mining, cutting, design, craftsmanship, and how it gets to the retailer and the customer. But we did that with Lego figurines and miniature dollhouse furniture.
That's so cute.
And so we made basically this mini little diorama of what the process is, how the loose gemstone travels to get to the hands of the customer, and seeing people's faces, and just the fact that you kind of had to get up and put your face in that to really see the detail of what was going on. That was a lot of fun, and that brought a lot of attention. So it was a great time to have that display.
I think, a lesson to take from this is, think outside of the story of just your jewelry, like obviously what Natalie and Omi did was think about like, well, here we can tell the story of the process of how it got to us. And that's interesting. Like think of a story you have to tell that isn't just about the jewelry.
Yeah.
And eye contact is a huge thing. Like if you're wanting people to stop by, like don't be in your phone, don't be like people who are engaged. When I walk by, I wasn't planning to stop and they're like, hi, how are you? Like just that little, you never know what you're going to catch somebody's attention, what's going to draw them in, that's going to lead to a conversation. Nothing irritates me more than walking up and like not having anybody.
Like they could care
work.
less if you stop or not. They could care less
Totally.
about their product.
Well, and I
Totally.
was just gonna say, being outside the booth, like as a retailer, walking up and down and by, like I'm not coming to you if you're standing behind your booth, like against the wall, like, hi, like, how can I help you? No, like you need to be outside. I used to work on the strip and I would stand outside the store and I would hook people in all day long, and just talk to me, like not, hi, how are you? I don't want to hear that because everybody says that. But I want to have like a ring in your hand and say, look at this. Have you ever seen a cat's eye crystal barrel?
Right.
I love the cat. You better have a cat's eye Alexandra for me to see.
I might have it. We'll see you
But you
there.
know what I mean? It's the wow factor.
Yeah.
That's, you know, like in a sea of ordinary, you have to be extraordinary.
And I think with that too, being genuine, you know, like as retailers too, and I know I speak for Days on this, but we really value our relationships with our vendors and our partners. So, you know, if you're, you know, wanting to talk to somebody, don't just hand a business card and instantly try to sell something, you know, like you need to get to know one another and want genuinely to get to know one another.
Yeah.
And you
So-
gotta determine if it's a good fit for your business too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
You
and
know,
I'm a stickler for, like, I always put my badge up here. So not only do I have something on my head, but my badge is always up here, because the thing I hate the most is if somebody says hi and looks at my stomach. Like, I'm already a little like Zoftig. I don't need you looking at my stomach. I need you looking at my beautiful eyes, right? And introducing yourself right here. So you're talk about being genuine, Nikia, right?
Yeah.
Like, hi, how are you? And then where are you from, etc. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
Totally, totally. Well, I think we are out of time. So I just wanted to thank everybody on this amazing panel for being with us today. And thank you for everybody who attended. Michelle, you have
you.
some final
I have
thoughts?
oh yes, I have some little housekeeping notes.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again to everybody for joining us today. My next question will return on Tuesday, June 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Details are here. This is going to be National Jewelers' annual Vegas Rewind episode. So I'll be joined by the other 3 editors, and we're going to talk about what we saw at the shows, what got us excited, any kind of news or gossip we gleaned. So that's always a fun one. And that again is going to be June 11th at 2 p.m. You can sign up now on our website. So thank you again, Natalie, Nikia, Jenny, and Amanda. Thank you for hosting, and we'll see you all in Vegas. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.